Imagine you are sitting at home, scrolling through your phone, and suddenly you see a headline that looks like it came straight out of an action movie. It says that over 150 suspected bandits have vanished into the waters of Sokoto State after their boat flipped over. Your first thought is probably, is this for real? Well, pull up a chair and get comfortable because we are diving deep into this mystery to find out what actually happened on that riverbank. Don't forget to hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel so you never miss these deep dives into the stories shaking Nigeria. So, the story goes like this. A massive group of heavily armed men, reportedly over 150 of them, were trying to cross a river in the Sabon Gida area of Sokoto. They were allegedly moving in the middle of the night, trying to stay under the radar. But as they say, the elements have a mind of their own. According to the initial reports that flooded social media, the boat was overloaded with men, motorcycles, and heavy weapons. Somewhere in the middle of the crossing, the boat lost balance and capsized. Because these men were carrying heavy gear, and many reportedly didn't know how to swim, the water supposedly took them all. This news spread like wildfire because for many people living in the northwest, it felt like a moment of natural justice. For years, these areas have faced so many challenges with security, and hearing that the river itself had stepped in to stop a planned attack felt like a huge relief. People were sharing the news, celebrating what they called divine intervention. It's the kind of story that makes you stop and think about how unpredictable life can be. If you're finding this story as intense as I am, please make sure you've subscribed to the channel. It really helps us bring you more of this amazing content. But here is where the plot thickens. As the news went viral, the official investigators and the National Inland Waterways Authority started looking into the claims. And what they found was quite surprising. They pointed out that during this season, many of the rivers in that specific part of Sokoto are actually quite shallow. In fact, some local residents said the water levels are so low right now that a giant boat carrying 150 people would struggle to even float, let alone sink deep enough to cause such a massive incident. So we have a classic he said, she said situation. On one hand, you have local sources and security observers insisting that a major event took place near the border. On the other, official spokesmen are saying there is no physical evidence of a shipwreck or 150 missing persons in that water. It leads us to a very interesting question. Could this have been a mistaken identity? Sometimes in these high-tension areas, movements of people are misinterpreted, or old stories from past rainy seasons get reshared as if they are happening today. Even if the 150 men in a boat story is being debated, what we do know for sure is that the security forces have been incredibly active in that region lately. There have been several successful missions to clear out hideouts and protect villagers. So while the river might not have done the work this time, the effort to bring peace back to the communities is very real. It's a reminder that we always have to look closely at the news and wait for the full picture to emerge. This story is a perfect example of why we love the gist. It's full of drama, mystery, and a bit of hope for a safer tomorrow. It also teaches us to be careful with what we share online. Always look for that official confirmation before you celebrate. We want to hear from you in the comments. Do you believe the story of the river intervention, or do you think it was just a tall tale that grew too big? And hey, if you haven't liked the video yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that like button and subscribe to join our community of news lovers. So while the official reports and the dry riverbeds are telling one story, the locals in the surrounding villages have a completely different vibe going on. You see, in many of these communities, there is a deep belief that the land itself has had enough. Some villagers are saying that even if the water isn't deep enough to sink a massive ship, there are parts of those marshes that act like quicksand. They believe that a group that large, carrying heavy metal weapons and pushing motorcycles through the mud could easily get trapped or swept away by a sudden flash surge, even if the river looks low during the day. This is where the gist gets really sweet. There are whispers that these men weren't just traveling. They were actually retreating from a very intense security operation happening just a few miles away. The word on the street is that as the Nigerian air and ground forces moved in on a known forest hideout, the group panicked and tried to take a shortcut through the water to escape across the border. If that's the case, it wasn't just a boat accident, it was a desperate move that went south. Before I tell you what the elders in Sabon Gida are saying about the ghost boat, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We are trying to reach a big milestone this month, and your support makes it possible. Now, get this. Some people are claiming that the 150 men story might actually be a mix-up with a real documented event from a few years ago that happened in a nearby local government area. Back then, a wooden boat actually did capsize, leading to a tragic loss of life. In the world of social media, old videos and photos often resurface with new captions to fit current events. It creates a digital fog where it's hard to tell what happened this morning from what happened 3 years ago. It's a wild reminder to always double-check your sources. But whether the boat sank or the story was just a tall tale, one thing is clear. The pressure is being turned up on the bad actors in the region. The authorities might be denying the drowning story to prevent people from becoming overconfident, but they are definitely confirming that significant progress is being made on the ground. It's like a game of chess, and every move counts. The villagers are just happy to have a few nights of peace, regardless of how it happened. This brings us to a very important point about how we consume news. Sometimes a story is so satisfying that we don't want to question it. We want to believe that the bad guys got what was coming to them in a dramatic way. But as your favorite presenter, I'm here to tell you that the truth is often more complicated and even more interesting than the rumors. If you're enjoying this breakdown, please click that like button and subscribe to the family. We've got the best community on YouTube, and we want you to be a part of it.